Spanish-speaking missionaries, there's very few of them in Detroit. And so you really develop a super close relationship with your companions, the other Spanish missionaries. I was my MTC companion. I was his companion 5 different times through different like areas and times in the mission. And the other Spanish missionaries, I was multiple times, sometimes in trios and things like that, which was really cool. And you also you're part of the Spanish branch. Like I said, I was there for almost 20 months, where you're there for so long that you kind of forget that you're a missionary. You kind of just become one of the branch, like one of the members, and you know everything about everyone's life, like all their kids' names, like everyone in the branch's names, like even like birthdays, and you just become family. And I think it's very, very unique and different, which makes leaving so much harder. There's only one Spanish-English branch. Everywhere else is I think just English. There's 6 out of, when I was there, I think we were under 100, but with the age change, there's probably a ton more. But we were at around 200, and then they just started decreasing. But it was cool because even though we were losing missionaries, we were still increasing in productivity. And so our mission presidents were awesome. They really just helped us to live the gospel and be obedient and remember that it's the Lord's work. And so you don't need a lot of missionaries to have a lot of baptisms. There's prepared people, and you'll be led to them, and they'll be led to you. So in terms of Spanish speaking, other things, something good to be aware of is because it is kind of mixed. A trend that we noticed is that usually Hispanic people would keep their houses much nicer. They'd maybe do the bricks and things like that, maybe because they have more of those construction skills or whatever. So that was helpful. Going to doors, you know what to expect. You could kind of predict who you're going to talk to, because it's also confusing because there's people from the Caribbean, like Cuba or the Dominican Republic there, and they're black. And so I remember the first time we were I think we met someone on the street, and he was black, and I just started speaking to him in English, and then he just goes off in Spanish, and I was just how does this black guy know Spanish so well? And it's a weird Spanish too, because Dominican is they don't close their mouths. They just talk really fast and funny, compared to Mexicans that are slow and very accented and things like that. So sometimes when a black person answers the door, you don't know. You just kind of have to throw out English or throw out Spanish. And sometimes even Arabic people look like Spanish people too. And it's always funny, when you meet an Arabic person and you realize they don't speak English, then you know they're Arabic, but you just divert to Spanish because you're just kind of trained oh, if they don't speak English, they must speak Spanish. So then you start speaking Spanish to them, and then they're just they're really confused. And then so yeah. But I did learn, this goes back to the Arabic comment. I just wanted to brag a little. I learned how to have I had a whole conversation with the cashier at Walmart in Dearborn, who was Arabic. So I was I said I can't even remember, Hajime or something, Masalama and Salam alaikum, and I said all these Arabic things, and I was hi, how are you, and have a good day and good to meet you and goodbye. I said all those things in Arabic, but I was able to recognize what she was saying. So I had this whole conversation to where she thought I spoke Arabic, but I didn't. I just knew I had a pattern. That was cool. Favorite foods out there, my top 3 favorite were pupusas, which are from El Salvador, which are I don't know how to explain them. They're corn meal, not corn meal, masa, corn flour, and inside this little pancake is, you can either put chicharron or pork rinds, I think, beans or cheese or whatever, and then you put cabbage and tomato sauce on them, and they call them pupusas. They're out here in Provo too. That was one of my favorites. And then arroz con gandules. It's a Puerto Rican food. It's just rice with chickpeas, but then they season it all special and stuff. And that was super good. We had Puerto Rican members who'd feed us all the time. And then tacos de chorizo with Mexican sausage. I love those too. So those are my 3 favorite foods. a lot of the Spanish people are very like family oriented, and so, and I don't know, maybe that comes from the Catholic backgrounds and maybe just Mexico in general, because a lot of them were kind of recently in the United States and things like that. Very, hard workers, and just they know how to have fun, and like maybe, and like I don't know, like maybe you're supposed to stay more formal and strict, but we did learn a lot of like Mexican slang, and like the members loved it, like to an extent, like loved it when we would try to like sound like chilangos or like people from like DFA, like the kind of more like gangster street talk. We'd like be all formal and stuff, but then we just throw in words like that and just like really like just make them laugh, and we just developed really good friendships with them, and we could be light and funny and like friendly, but then we also knew how to like have really deep personal conversations with them too, and they can. I think everyone can engage at both of those levels. You just have to not, because there's the risk of being friends and just never getting into like the doctrine, or just being too stingy that like people can't feel like you're real. Each of like the Central American countries like have like code names like catrachos, guanacos, chapines, and things like that. Like people think it's funny like if you can refer to them by their like cultural nickname, and just like really like kind of understanding them and things like that. It's really important. I'm probably going to get this wrong. Catrachos might be Honduras. Guanacos could be El Salvador, and then Chapines, maybe Guatemala. Ticos, I think, are Costa Rica. Boricuas are Puerto Rico. Also, Puerto Ricans, they say jugo de chino is like Chinese juice, but it means orange juice instead of jugo de naranja. That's the difference. And then like there's just different words for like tamale and cake and things like that. I can't remember them all exactly. It's been a while. But you'll learn it all. You'll be fine.